Effectors! Welcome back to the Mass Effect Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, and Sam is on his way back from work. He's currently stuck in traffic, but he'll be here any minute. But we needed to start off this show because we've got a bunch of our patrons here this week to talk about the most interesting pieces of little details and background lore that they love about the Mass Effect series. And with me this week, we've got Retrobot, we have Scott 1266. I don't think I ever say the number. We have Jeff and Draco and Turbo Toboggan. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. Who knows? Maybe we have some other people who are running a little bit late and they're going to jump in. But I'm excited to hear your little snippets of these little background lore bits. I know I learn things from Sam all the time on this show, and I have a feeling some of you are going to bring up some little details that I may not be aware of. So I'm excited about this. And to kick it off, Retrobot said that he wanted to go first. Retro, welcome to the show, first of all. Thanks for being here. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for joining us. What is your detail? Is this like a background detail of lore? Is this like a little, I don't know, what is this? What is your topic?
So this is like a little background lore. It's like you have to, it's the codex about Krogan blood rage.
Oh,
that I just found interesting because it's my second playthrough now of Mass Effect, and I've actually gotten into reading the codexes more.
Yeah. Okay.
And it turns out, according to the codex, Krogan's blood rage used to be like a lot rarer of a thing. Like before the Civil War on Tachanka or whatever, it was like less than 1% of Krogans had it, and it was considered like a pathological illness.
That's cool.
Yeah. So actually, after the Civil War, these Krogans that did have like the blood rage ability were able to survive better. So they lived on, then they pass it on to their kids and so on. So that's why blood rage is a lot more prevalent in Krogans now than it used to be.
So it's like an evolutionary advantage thing, and so therefore it became a larger part of the population.
Yeah, and it was a useful tool during the Rachni War as well.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, they've been under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, major conflicts, things like that. Having something like that would totally make sense. I mean, it's as simple as certain members of your species are better or more capable of building muscle mass, right? And so if you have these times of strife where you have to have people be able to be stronger in order to either survive in the wilderness or fight against your enemies or things like that, then those people are more likely to survive, which means they pass on that trait to their children, and then their children are also stronger. But in this case, it's blood rage. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about this. I told you I was going to learn some things. This is really, really cool. Let's open this up to everyone else. Did you guys realize this background lore? Were you aware that this was something that was kind of like, what's the word? It's an evolutionary thing. It's there's a certain phrase for when something like that gets vetted and then becomes more common over time. I forget the phrase.
Just like mutation and survival of the fittest, kind of like Darwin type stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
like a recessive trait.
It's not a recessive. There's a certain phrase I'm thinking about. I can't pin it down right now. And Magister's joining us. Welcome, Magister. Magister, Retrobot just shared that the Krogan blood rage was something that was less prevalent until it became advantageous, and then it got passed down into more of their species due to war and conflict and things like that, because it helped those members of their species survive and prevail, which is a really cool concept. So that's where we are so far. That's the quick little wrap up. So anybody else have any thoughts or questions on this? This seems like, I have to wonder how many other little kinds of details like this they've worked into the lore that I'm just not aware of when it comes to some of these other species. That's really cool.
I mean, I think that is interesting because if you think about Andromeda, which I know everyone loves.
And which everyone thinks about all the time.
I know. Draco's got the hat on them. But if you think about Andromeda, there's at least two Krogan in Andromeda that seem very, like, chill. There's the botanist, and then the other one that needs with Lieta. So there's like two Krogan that are very just like they just don't seem to fit that mold. So I think if that's something that not every Krogan has, there's examples of Krogan that maybe don't have that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I wonder if there's any stats on what the total percentage is in current day time in Mass Effect. Like it went from what you said, 1%. I wonder if it's at like, it seems like
it's at 1%. I think when I read the codex, it said something like 86% now or something.
Wow, that is a really large jump. That is a really large jump. That's crazy. That's really cool. It's also, you know what? It sounds kind of similar to one of the reasons why we as a species have different hair color and eye color and skin color and things like that. Eyes and skin have something to do with the amount of sunlight you get. And it's why people who come from places closer to the equator have darker skin, and people who come from places further from the equator tend to have lighter skin, is that they need less sunlight for vitamin D and protection against the radiation of the sun and that kind of thing. So it seems like one of those things that like a very, very small number of people originally had genes that could potentially change their skin color. But as time progressed, that became more and more common as people migrated north. I don't know, just kind of one of those little evolutionary details, which this feels very similar to in my mind, at least. All right. Any other thoughts on this one? This is cool. No more thoughts? Nobody else? Well, Retrobot, thank you for bringing that one. That one's a neat detail. Who would like to go next? Scott's ready to go next. Scott, what little background lore detail did you want to bring?
Yeah, so there's one that like you have to listen, and it's interesting because it spans all three games. So in the first game, if you're up in the markets, there's a guy arguing with a Turian, and he's asking for, I think, a refund or like an exchange or something. And the Turian's like, what are you talking about? And then the guy says like, well, you sold it to me. I know it was you. And the Turian says, that's really interesting because most humans can't tell us apart, which is like a nice dig at us as well.
Right. Right.
And so then in the second game, when you go in Zakira, you go down by the warehouse, that guy's down there and he's like, I'm here for my like exchange. The guy at the thing told me to come down here. And then it's like a Solarian is like, what are you talking about? Like you're just like, you're so wrong. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then in the third game, when you're in the markets, that guy is there and you can actually resolve it.
Oh, wow.
So Shepard gets to like interact finally. And so the guy's arguing with a Solarian. So Shepard can either tell the guy to drop it, or you can tell the Solarian like, hey, just refund the guy his money.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny to me because I think it ends up being, it's like 15 or 5, like it's some really tiny amount of credits for whatever it is the guy like wanted. So for 3 games, you've had to listen to this guy complain. And then finally at the end, he gets his money back. But the other part of it that I find so interesting is the thing that he wants a refund for is an Omnigel converter, which I feel like ties way back to the beginning of the Lorecast with you guys, like talking about the tech and like asking like, how do things get made into Omnigel? And so there's like also this like guy being like, I want a refund for this Omnigel converter. So it takes 3 games to resolve it. It's there if you like listen, but you don't get to do anything for most of the games. That's
amazing. How much time passes between... You have to wonder, how long has this guy been trying to get his refund? I'm drawing a blank. I don't know exactly how much time passes from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 3, but it's a significant period of time. Does anybody know off the top of your head?
It's about 2.5 years.
Is it 2.5 years? Okay. Yeah.
So that's between 1 and 2. And I think it's 6 months between 2 and 3.
Yeah. Okay. That does sound familiar.
I think give or take a couple months.
Wow. Can you imagine trying to get a refund for something that's only worth that much for 2.5 years? Like in our world today, this would go up in like the OK Boomer subreddit as an example of like people being idiots. Like, is he an older gentleman? Does he happen to be an older guy? Do you remember, Scott? Like what he looked like?
No, I think he's just a stereotypical like Mass Effect dude, like
right.
Kind of.
He looks middle-aged to me.
Yeah, but not like he doesn't have white hair or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried to get a refund on something for 2.5 years? What was the longest amount of time you worked on trying to get a refund? Like a week?
Maybe.
Yeah.
If I even really wanted it that bad.
Right. That is hilarious. Did any of the rest of you remember this at all? Did you guys come across this?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah?
Yeah, I also remember that.
Yeah, like in the background, yeah, but I don't remember ever helping him.
You didn't help him? Okay, so this is the other question is, did you try to get him his money back or did you tell him to go away?
I don't remember if I did anything.
You don't know if you did anything?
I remember helping him.
Draco helped him. What about the others who remember this? Do you remember what you did?
Yeah, I also helped him. I mean, because come on, he's like a man of principle or whatever. To be like, demanding a refund this many years later, talking to like 5 or 6 different guys just to get this one refund. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on a mission for sure. Jeff, do you remember if you helped him out?
Oh, I never help him. I always say, dude, chill out. There's a war going on.
Yeah, get out of here.
And then Scott and I actually were fighting over who was going to bring this one up because we both had the same idea, I guess, of bringing this one up. So I had to come up with other plans since he came up with the topic for tonight.
That's great. That's great. From a meta perspective, as somebody who is working on these games, you have to feel a certain satisfaction when people finally notice something like that you've like spent 3 iterations of the game to like add in incrementally. And it's this little background thing. It doesn't get any attention. It's really not important to the story. And then somebody notes it online and is like, hey, did anybody notice this guy who wants the refund or whatever? Like the first time somebody notices and you're like, oh, that was me. I put that in the game. That's got to feel real satisfying, you know? So, all right. Well, cool. Any other thoughts on this one, Scott, or anybody else? I have to wonder how many of these little details exist or if there are any that are like this that we haven't noticed yet. If there's just these like minor details that just don't get noticed. All right. Who would like to go next? Turbo's next. Turbo's raising a hand. Turbo, what's your topic?
Like I said earlier, mine was the ammo clip change in between from 1 to 2 and then continued in 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it feels background enough me because I like the lore reason and stuff, like how they
explain it for people who are just tuning in and haven't heard us talk about this before.
Okay, the way I remember it is the military did all the companies that did all the guns and stuff realized that a trained person could swap the mag quicker than having to wait down for the cooldown, so they eventually swapped over because they realized it's quicker to just swap out the mag than to wait for your weapon to cool down. And because of this, because they had to wait for it to cool down, they weren't doing a suppressive fire, so it was actually more like you could
beneficial on the battlefield.
Yeah,
right.
If I remember correctly, it was like the Geth are the ones that started it first, and the companies were like, "This can't be true." They tested it, and then it happened. I could be wrong about the Geth part, but I know all about the company part.
That's interesting. I don't remember the Geth part. That part sounds new to me. Does anybody feel free to chime in, the rest of you, because I don't have all the lore.
Yeah, I can't remember the reason why they looked into it, but I know they looked into it and they found out it's actually there's more firepower going down the line in our fights if we switch over to the mag.
If you start swapping the mags.
Yeah. Right? It was after the Battle of the Citadel, and a bunch of scientists were analyzing Geth weapons. I literally listened to the Geth episode today, and you said, I think Sam actually said in the episode that's one of the lower reasons why they switched over to the thermal clips and all that.
Yeah, that tracks. I just didn't remember the Geth specifically, and it's been 3 years since we did that episode, so it's pretty far back there. But yeah, it's an interesting thing because it clearly is a gameplay decision that the devs made in order to alter the way the game works, because they wanted the game to function differently, but then they had to kind of come up with an in-world lore reason to justify it. At least that's my interpretation. Oftentimes when things like this happen, that's usually why it is. But it's cool when the in-world lore reason is good enough to feel like, okay, that tracks, that makes sense. It's also kind of crazy to think that in such a short period of time, they were able to either retrofit or create new weapons that all work in this completely different way and then distribute them. And now everybody just happens to have new functioning weapons.
It makes me
go ahead.
Wonder if the thing that was doing the cooling is the exact same shape as a heat clip. So they're like, you know what, just pull that cooling system out and have that area be a heat sink plug-in part. So you just pop it in. Instead of having a thing that can cool down, the clips are now disposable.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting idea. It was already a part of the gun that could be removed and swapped because you might need it to replace your cooling section. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Okay. All right. Well, here, let's open this one up. What did the rest of you guys think about this one? Do you feel like this was a good choice? Do you feel like they went about updating this in a smart way, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a pretty decent job of it. The only one that really provides a hitch with it in the lore is Jacob Taylor's loyalty mission, where you go to like save Jacob and his family, or save his dad, and it's like they've been stranded there for decades, and it's like
Right.
the thermal clips are everywhere, and you're like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
that
how did
shouldn't
they
be
get
the
thermal
thing. So that's like
clips?
the one where like I understand why they did it from a gameplay perspective, but there is like kind of this weird spot in the lore where it's like I don't think it quite fits for that piece.
Right.
So I think they talked about it in one of their patron episode early on about this, or that somebody's comment was like, it'd be better if you just landed and it was like, oh, you got the ammo you got, for that one. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the thermal clip. I enjoy the change. It's a lot easier to use too in the game. So
Right. Yeah. It does kind of put you in a corner when it comes to writing that kind of part of the story. It also, like, if you end up engaging with that mission too early and you don't have enough thermal clips, then you're kind of stuck. I mean, I guess you still have biotics or you just punch things, but like it becomes like boxing simulator. You're just hitting everybody with the butt of your gun in order to get through the rest of it. That would be frustrating. So I get why that would be a problem. I suppose you could probably write in something else though, like, oh, there was a ship that crash landed that had the new weapons with thermal clips and they distributed those among the survivors. Like, you could come up with a reason, but I can also see why a team with a complex, staff of different writers who are working on different stuff wouldn't have considered that little detail when going through writing everything, getting it ready. So that makes sense. Do you prefer do you think that this was a good decision from a gameplay standpoint to swap the way that worked? Do you prefer the way this works in 2 and 3 as opposed to 1? What do you think, Scott? Yeah? It's definitely better. Is everybody in agreement about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hey. Well, there you go. Well, for the most part, seems like it was a good decision. Sam just messaged me, too. He says he just got home. Looks like he's booting up his system and about ready to join in. What if they were able to have both systems at the same time as kind of a transition? Like, what if you went from your guns that you start, let's say, 2 with, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, we get these upgraded guns, and now you're swapping clips. And so it felt a little bit more organic. Like both of those things could exist in the game at the same time. I know that would take a lot more work from the development side, but it feels like, I mean, in today's world, like, look at cars. We're going from gasoline cars to hybrid cars to electric vehicles. And yet all 3 of those things exist at the same time. It's not like we just all of a sudden, boom, everybody has electric vehicles. That's not really how it works. Would you feel like that solution would make sense? Turbo? Let's start with Turbo. Turbo, what do you think about that? Do you think that makes sense, having both available, or is that just extra work? And it's like, it doesn't really matter.
I don't know and stuff. It would have to be like it only makes sense if maybe not. Like, maybe if you get the option, but if you pick the option, you're stuck with it the whole game. Maybe it's like you pick it, like when you're creating your character, like from 1 to 2, it's like your shepherd is stuck in his ways. He doesn't want to use the new weapon system, so he's like, especially when since he typically dies from 1 to 2, like it's like I practically got a new buy. You know what? Enough is enough. I'm not switching over to this new. To give him a reason, like something like that, and if so, you're stuck with it. Like, make the people make another choice.
Yeah,
and it changes your gameplay through the whole thing. It would feel really wishy-washy if you could just like switch back and forth. But then again, that could also make sense because it's like Shepard's a military person.
Right.
We just pick it. It's not like it could make sense. Like, hey, you just picked up a weapon.
Yeah, well, I would imagine as a military person, you're going to be kind of trained for whatever, and you're going to take whatever gives you the advantage in the situation. It would be like going from muskets to rifles, right? And then like you're like, rifling? Nah, who needs rifling? I'm going to use my musket. I'm going to manually load this thing one little ball at a time. We pour some black powder in. And it's like, hey, dude, we've got a rifle. It shoots straight, and you can put bullets in a clip or whatever. Like, it seems like a big jump, right? It feels kind of like that. Magister, did you want to chime in? I thought I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I was thinking that I know it would be like a lot of leg work, but I think it would be really fun if that was an issue in Mass Effect 2, like trying to decide between the one or the other. And then imagine if the BioWare took the piss out of the people by since everyone wanted to what's it called, do the promotions in Mass Effect 1 on Commander Shepard. And imagine if there was an actual mission in Mass Effect 2 where you had to decide the fate of ammo of the galaxy by choosing which type of ammunition would be the one. And then whoever got the Shepard approval at the end of it would be the new ammunition power of the galaxy.
Right. I'm Commander Shepard and I approve Calypse. Yeah. And then you get paid for your sponsorship. That becomes another way to make money in the game.
And then Mass Effect 3 is like, oh no, I made a horrible mistake. Now we're not prepared for the Reapers.
Yeah, right.
We have these inefficient weapons.
Right. Yeah, we need more efficient weapons. Crap. Why do we keep with the heat sinks? Yeah, this is... All right, I haven't thought, this is another one of those topics that you just don't think about very much. You kind of just move from one game to the next. And I remember playing 2 and being like, oh, this feels a little different. I like the combat more, but I don't remember specifically focusing in on these are the details as to why the combat feels different to me. I was just happy with oh, this combat feels a little better. Did you all notice the change when you went from 1 to 2? I mean, I guess it's different, especially if you got if you only got into it during after the Legendary Edition came out, and then you go from one game to the next real fast. I don't know. Anyone have thoughts on that?
Actually, I did. If I remember correctly, I think there's actually a gun mod in 2 that lets you use your gun with the old heat clips, so you don't have to reload.
Is there?
So it's so you don't have to reload, but it drastically lowers your mag size, like how many shots you can shoot before you have to wait for it to cool down or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Another thing I did not realize.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That sounds familiar, though.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, thanks for this one. Who would like to go next? What else do we have? Who hasn't gone yet? We've got, let's see, Jeff, Draco, Magister. Magister, you want to go?
I can go. My fun little bit of hidden lore is the fact that Legion is a gamer.
Okay.
And I enjoy the fact that that's a thing. And also, I mean, seeing other people's, especially the whole Shadow Broker terminal situation. There was a lot of cool stuff that was in there, but my favorite one was legitimately reading that Legion had I think it was he was a Aryak Yakshi necromancer, known as John Smith, got to level 612. Just the fact that our little AI companion that has a soul, outside of normal things, got into getting to some games just to release some stress while everyone else was chilling on the Normandy.
Yeah, that's so cool. And Sam's finally able to join us. Welcome, Sam.
I am here.
You made it. Yeah, we've been talking about a variety. We've already gone over 3 different topics. We're currently talking about how Legion is a gamer and had, what was the character class that he had? Say that again.
Aryak Yakshi necromancer.
Yeah, right. That's so cool. But I think it makes sense. If you're an AI, then you're going to be into systems and how the systems work. So playing a game with a lot of systems that you can min max, that tracks for me. That totally makes sense. I mean, it is a surprise though. It's kind of a fun little thing to put in there, right?
He did get suspected for using VI and stuff like that, and got kicked off for a bit. So.
Yeah. I would imagine you would have an advantage over human players because you have a processor in your head that can do things that humans can't do. So that would make sense.
He's literally got the hacks.
Right. He's built for it. He's straight up built for it. He's on the top of every leaderboard. Well, this guy's cheating in PvP. Well, no, no, he's an AI.
What do you think the best space race is at playing video games? Would it be the Solarians or would it be the steady hands of a Turian?
That's a good question.
Or
of organic races.
Biological organic races. What do you think, Sam?
I would probably be inclined to say Solarians.
Yeah, my mind went to Solarians first.
I feel like they might have that on lock, honestly, because their mind is literally just working quicker.
Right.
And if we're talking about like competitive online like games like shooters, I feel like maybe they would be better. But if we're talking about like online games where you have to strategize and maybe like spend a little time, like for example, since the new one just got announced, Civilization, I think Asari would be the best at Civilization.
Okay. What about like RTS games where it's a combination of long strategy with short-term tactics?
Turians, maybe?
Yeah, that's where my mind went to Turians also. Interesting. I also have to wonder if in the terms of service for these games, they specifically define that AI are not allowed to play because it breaks the system.
Well, technically true AI shouldn't be legal anyway, right? According to the Citadel conventions. So
yeah. So maybe they don't have to state that. It's just assumed that like you're not supposed to exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not allowed to exist.
Right. So weird. That is a really cool thing, though. I feel like this is another one, kind of like the one that I think it was Retro brought up about the guy trying to get his money back across all 3 games. Like this feels like another one of those like some dev somewhere is like, hey, this is a really smart idea. I wonder if anybody's going to talk about it online. And then somebody does, and they're like, yes, I put that in there.
Isn't he like trying to return his toaster? I forget exactly what he's trying to return.
It was the Metagel converter.
Okay, yeah. I remember running into him in Mass Effect 3. I don't remember running into him in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, he's in there across all 3 games trying to get his money back, and then finally you can step in Mass Effect 3 and you can decide. And we polled the group here. It seems like about half of the people were like, yeah, just give him the money back, and half the people were like, nah, get out of here. Do you remember what you did?
I do remember what I did. I always get the guy his money back because I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, is it really going to eat a huge loss just from giving this guy his money back? He's been wanting it for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I did the same thing last time I played through that part. Okay. Well, this is a lot of fun. Magister, any other thoughts on on gamer AI or anything like that?
I was just thinking like what races would be good at which games since you guys brought that up earlier.
Yeah. What do you think?
Imagine like the casino like games or the loot based games. I imagine like the Volus probably really good at that. Or I wonder what games the the very slow guys.
The Elcor?
Like what games do they like to play?
I have a suggestion for the Volus. I feel like the Volus would be very good at EVE Online.
Because it's like spreadsheets?
Yes. Yeah. Because it's just spreadsheets.
It's spreadsheet game.
Or Monopoly for the Volus.
Monopoly.
Monopoly makes
My
sense.
goodness.
All right.
How did we miss that? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I'm trying to think Elcor. What if there's like a Sims game, but it's like Elcor instead, and it's really slow paced? It's like, have to go to the store. And then it takes you like an hour for your character to just like leave the house.
You know what it is? You know what games Elcor are really great at? Those mobile games that try to get you to pay microtransactions to speed up the timer in between the different acts you want to do. Because to Elcor, that's like nothing. Like they can wait for that. They don't care.
They're like, why would I speed it up? Yeah.
Oh, wow. 2 days to wait until I can farm my farm again. I guess I'll go do the laundry.
Right. This game's a little too quick. Awesome. Magister, this was a fun topic. Thank you for bringing this up. Anybody else have any thoughts about these? Well, I mean, we're riffing on this. Feel free if you have any thoughts about the races and which kinds of games they'd be good at, because this is a funny topic. Anybody have anything to add on to any of these?
For some reason, I feel Solarians would be great at Guitar Hero.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sort of like the precision and all that they'd have to have in the speed.
Right, and they could put it on like super fast mode. Kind of
the agility. Yeah, the agility for Solarians would definitely take the cake. Or the Drell, maybe.
You know,
what game would Hanar be good at?
I don't know about that one.
I don't think they'd be good at any conventional video game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. Shooters.
Because of Blasto?
Because of Blasto? Like that's the only thing that pops in my head.
Yeah. Or what if you like gave them a VR headset and they could control things with their tentacles?
Yeah, this is.
Oh, I know what Hanar would be good at. Survival.
Just survival games.
Survival games.
Yeah.
I mean, they helped the Drell. So they're great at survival games.
Yeah. There you go.
They're good team players. They'd be good as a teammate if you're playing Raft.
Raft. I haven't played Raft yet. I hear it's pretty good.
It's a water world, so
yeah,
they don't even need to be on the raft.
Yeah, they just kind of hang out with you next to the raft. All right.
I feel like they'd be really good at like Wii bowling because they just be really good with their tentacles. So they'd be like really good at Wii bowling, and it'd be like, guys, give us a break. Like somebody else needs to win for one.
Yeah, they just constantly score 300 points.
You think they'd be insulted at Baldur's Gate 3 with Baldur's Gate 3 synonymizing tentacles with the enemy?
yeah, because a lot of the enemies in that game have tentacles. And the ships also have tentacles. So yeah, maybe they petition the developer. They're like, this is not fair. Like, you take this out of the game, change it. Or like the World of Warcraft update has arachnophobia mode in it where it turns all the spiders into crabs. Like they're like, turn tentacle monsters into something else because this is offensive.
It would just be arms.
Just turn it into actual arms. Like people, like any other race's arms. It's fine.
Yeah, like humanoid arms.
Right. Oh, was it the Nautilus? Is that what that's the big machine that flies through the sky with the tentacles? That's what that's called. Like, can you imagine the human arms waving off the back of that?
This would be the Armalus.
The Armalus. Oh my God.
The Armillary. There we go.
Yeah. All right. That's a cool word too. Now we're talking Starfield. All right. So we need to take a quick break and go thank you guys, our patrons, and everybody else who supports the show. And then we'll be back to cover a few more of these fun little lore nuggets. So don't go anywhere.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
I am sovereign, and this
Lorecast
is mine. I like the sound of that.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show. Thank you for all of your support. And thank you to our newest patron, Isaac S. Welcome to the Patreon. And to all 75 of our current patrons, thank you so much for being here and supporting the show. And to our Shepherd tier patrons, Draco, Edboy, Kira C, Lieutenant Susino, Retrobot, Superfly, and William, thank you so much for your support as well. If you are interested in joining us on a future chat like this, or simply getting ad-free episodes or t-shirts or stickers or all sorts of fun things, head over to patreon.com/Mass Effect Lorecast to check out everything out and see if, did I say check out everything out? That's a little redundant. And see if there's a tier that you would like to sign up for to help us out. We really do appreciate it. Also, thank you to those of you who have taken the time to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We don't have any new ones to shout out this week, but if you do leave one, then we'll probably read it out on the next episode of the show. You can also rate the show on Spotify. You can share it with your friends. And again, thank you for all the support. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
Spit it out, or are you trying to build suspense?
You're so dense, sir. Obviously, I do not know as much about human relationships as I thought.
All right, we're back. We've got 2 more left. We have Jeff and Draco. Who would like to go next? Jeff,
I can go.
I saw Jeff's hand first. Yeah. So, Draco, you can.
Draco, you can go if you want, bud.
Oh, there you go.
No, that's fine. It's all good.
All right.
All right, Jeff. What's your topic? I know. We found out that Scott took the one that you wanted to talk about, right? So.
Yeah, we were texting each other about it earlier today. And just an FYI, I'm actually Superfly. I can't change my name because I use this for work as well.
Yeah, no problem. Good to know.
Yeah. So I had 2 technically, but one's more of a kind of gee whiz kind of thing.
Okay.
American football as it is today exists in the Mass Effect universe in the 22nd century. There's a Cerberus, one of those Cerberus news reels that comes out, says the New York Giants beat the, I think it's like the Hong Kong Dragons in Super Bowl 200 something. And the Krogan is a quarterback. So that one's kind of a gee whiz kind of thing.
That's really cool. What was that? What was that, Sam?
I said, do you think he's a scrambler or is he a pocket passer?
He's a scrambler. He's a scrambler. Yeah, he's the quarterback who, if you need somebody to run the extras like 5 yards in a pinch.
Man, I need to make a new player in College Football 25 and name him Bragas Thule, which I believe is the name of that Krogan quarterback.
Yes.
That's amazing. There need to be mods.
Huge.
Can we get mods for Madden that just mod in Krogan and other creatures?
That'd be a hell of a crossover mod.
That would be amazing. This one's really cool, Jeff. Thank you for sharing this one.
Yeah,
so what's the other one?
I thought that was kind of fun and interesting one. The second one is, and I hope I'm not stealing Draco's here, but it goes across all three as well, just like Scott's did. The Michael and Rebecca that have the baby, you talk to them in Mass Effect 1 on the Citadel and the up in the I'm blanking on it. You talk to them on the Citadel and you help them decide whether or not they keep the baby ungenetically altered for the heart condition or they get the genetic modification for the heart condition that the father died from. And you hear them talking in a store in Mass Effect 2 down by where you also hear the guy trying to get his refund. It's the store right next to it. They're talking about getting mods there. And then the third, you help them decide whether or not to keep him in daycare. And I just think having those three go across having those two go across all three games in that way is another one of those nice little things that you come across. Much like the one that Scott brought up.
Right. Yeah, I remember this one now that you describe it. Do you think, I have to wonder if this is the same writer who wrote both of these? Like, I'm going to do multiple things that go across all three games, or combination of writers. Who knows? Maybe it was started by one writer in 1, and then somebody else on 2 was like, hey, well, let's continue these little threads. That'll be fun.
I always thought that the Rebecca and Michael one in Mass Effect 1 was a really good intro to the player as to the differences between Paragon and Renegade in how you talk to people. I thought it was a great, basically stepping off the ship kind of moment, because that, if I remember right, is pretty close to where you can first go when you first get to the Citadel and you're free roaming around. And I remember doing the Paragon one and thinking, oh yeah, that was nice. So you're kind of a peacemaker. And then I tried the Renegade one later. I'm like, that was not great. This is the worst diplomacy I've ever seen.
Do you think it was designed that way to dissuade you, or to just let you know that there are consequences?
Yeah, I think it was just showing you exactly what you can expect from Paragon and Renegade for the rest of the game. But of course, you didn't have to do it right at the beginning of the game. You could have done it whenever. But for me, it functioned as that kind of moment.
Okay. Jeff, did you feel that way about that? Does that resonate?
So I've been doing a FemChat playthrough, and I recently finished one not too long ago, and my Rebecca and Michael conversation didn't come up till I was probably, I felt like halfway through the game. So, I mean, I can see how it would be that, because it should be one of the first ones. I don't know if it was just because of the way I played it, or the amount of times I went to the Citadel that I didn't see it right away, but I didn't see those two until I was probably a good 15, 20 hours into the game. Well past, I might have even been on to, I had all of my crew members, so I was at least past Theron. I can't remember exactly where I was at, but I do remember getting it later in the game. But yeah, I thought the Hanar Preacher was my personal one, where it was figured out, okay, this is the Paragon one, this is the Renegade one. And just kind of introducing that way, to me, at least.
Interesting. Yeah, this seems like the kind of topic we could do on a future patron chat of when did it really hit you, the difference between Paragon and Renegade, and how did that feel? Seems like a fun topic. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on Jeff's topic? Anyone else want to chime in about this one, or ways that made you feel when you first encountered it? Magister?
I always wish there was an option to like slap Michael, because he's so over the top. Like he's just like yelling, and it always makes me think of Clue.
Right.
Like,
With Mr. Green, they slap Mr. Green.
Slaps Miss Peacock in the face.
Right.
Like,
yes.
Screaming.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That same thing. It's like, Michael, just shut up.
Right.
Like, God, he's so ridiculous.
Yeah, like one of those button prompts that pops up real quick, and you just got to hit it at the right time.
Yeah. Like the Dr. Manuel, time to say goodnight, Dr. Manuel. Mm-hmm. But say goodnight, Michael.
Yeah. Magister, did you want to chime in on this one too?
I actually had a thought on the first point he brought up. Okay. I just picture how feral the recruiters got the moment that whatever board was like, we're going to now allow recruitments of alien species or alien races. Like, just imagine just how feral.
Oh my God.
We need to get Solarian coordinators. We need to get Asari basketball players so they can like use biotics to slam dunk, or just like
Turian strategists.
Like the feralness.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine being up against a team that first recruits Krogan, and then being like the other lineman on the other side up against like a Krogan line, and being like,
They better have Michael Jordan and a few Looney Tunes, because otherwise they're not going to do too hot.
No. Like the Monster Squad.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Like, just he said Asari slam dunking with biotics, and in my head I immediately heard the song "Come On and Jam."
Do you think biotics would be out of the rules? Because like a quarterback with biotics, or even like someone covering a pass, like all of a sudden now everyone's just using biotics. It's no longer a physical feat, right?
Kicking 600-yard field goals.
Right. Yeah. Like the field goal kicker just like looks at the ball and just like waves his fingers, and it just takes off.
Yeah, we think the refs are bad now.
Yeah.
Like, wait till they have to mod everybody's abilities.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine they would allow biotics in conventional sports.
Maybe not, but I also really like the idea that athletes would be policed for red sand as a performance-enhancing drug.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I'm just thinking of, like, there's an athlete in the Mass Effect universe who's top of his game, but then his reputation's destroyed when it's discovered that he was actually a red sand user.
Yeah. Do you think there would be limitations on which species are allowed to play? Like, could you have a Vorcha on a team? Would that be too terrifying? Or are they going to eat your face? Like, if they disagree with the coach,
I feel like there would be natural limitations on which races would gravitate toward which games. Like, a Volus is not going to be running the 100-meter dash.
Sure. Yeah.
This is not going to happen.
Yeah. True. Oh man, so many ideas on this one. This could be another one of those future patron topics where we're like, okay, like pick a sport. Who is on your team? Like which races, how do you fill out your team? All right. I feel like this topic has come to an end. Let's move on to Draco. Draco, last but not least, what's your idea? What's your thought?
I mean, one of mine had actually been what Jeff's was. But, I got to back up. It's actually two. It's actually two. First is I got to remember his name, General Araka, who you first encounter in. Oh God, what's the name of the bar?
Coruscant.
Coruscant, yeah. And you chat to him for the Asari consort Shair. And then I don't recall if you encounter him in any way or read about him in 2, but then how you encounter him in 3 next to the two, Michael and I've forgotten her name, to do with the child, because they're actually sitting pretty much where he is on the Citadel. So again, it's just one of those ones where it goes from 1 to 3, not sure about 2. Mm-hmm. And it actually, I think it also affects the game a little bit because I think he provides some war assets too. I think
in Mass Effect 3, yeah. Basically, you can convince him, or you can like solve it a different way to ultimately secure more war assets from Arya.
Yeah, I just like how it goes through those, and then the one of the backups because is Conrad. I like Conrad. Just you see him in 1, then you see him in 2, and it's like, what the hell are you doing, man? In 2, trying to get the deeds for the bar on Ilium, and then you see him again on 3, and then it turns out he's actually a pretty damn smart guy with his was it dissertation on dark matter, dark energy?
Yes, he had a dark energy dissertation, which added 1 war asset. I think it was like 1 point.
1.
Oh, it was 5. Okay,
5. All right.
I just love that. Like at first you're thinking, what the hell is it with this guy? And then it's like, oh no, he's actually a really smart person. He can actually help the war effort. And then the last one, it's more of it's just a nice little, it's more collectibles. It's not really a little thing, but it's the ship models and all those little bits and pieces you gather for Shepard's cabin, and especially Space Hamster. And then in 3 with the Citadel, and it's like he gets Citadel DLC. I think it is, he gets a little bit annoyed when he sees all these stuff and all in that little trolley when they're sort of breaking into the Normandy to get it back. That
hamster itself is a reference within a reference.
Oh,
is it?
Yeah. That's a reference to Baldur's Gate. Boo.
Oh, is it?
Oh, God.
Huh.
Yeah, I believe so because Boo is a miniature giant space hamster.
That's cool. That's cool. I did not realize this. Man, I've learned so much on this episode. Yeah. That is so cool.
I just like those little, like they're not specific little things like that when they're not specifically like meant to, like a lore thing, but it's just like a little thing in the background you can do, but it's like it's not going to have any kind of direct effect on things, but it's just a nice little background thing.
Yeah, it's like the kinds of stuff that if you're paying close enough attention or you get the reference, you're like, yeah, got it.
I mean, it helps. I'm really into models as well, so I like collecting models. So that helps.
Yeah, I always liked the models. That I feel like that was a cool addition. Something you could do in the games. I also you mentioned the Conrad Verner thing. I feel like we all know somebody like that, where when you first meet them, you're just like, what's this guy's deal? And then eventually you're like, oh, okay. They're just like way out there, but like in a good way, which makes them weird, you know?
Oh, he's not stupid. He's just weird.
He's just weird. He's just kind of out there and also brilliant in a way. So that's cool. Anybody have any thoughts on Draco stuff? Anyone else want to chime in? Jeff?
Yeah, so on the Conrad Verner thing, so the fetch quest that you do in 1, I think you guys might have mentioned this in a previous podcast. The fetch quest in 1, where you get all the matriarch writings, you'd actually use those with Conrad in the 3rd one to like translate part of his something with his dissertation, but you use those matriarch writings in the 3rd one. So if you collect them all, that's another bonus you can get with it.
That's so right. Cool. And, that's so cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Were the Prothean data discs involved with that? There was another one where I know you had to get an OSD from Gavin Hossel in Mass Effect 1 on Pharos. And because apparently Gavin knows Conrad. And then there was the matriarch writings and some other thing where it was like, and also you had to do the quest with Jenna's sister in Korra's Den to save Conrad's life. Right? Am I remembering this wrong? There's a very specific sequence of things you have to do in a playthrough to get the ultimate Conrad Verner fate.
Which is very important for everybody who plays, I'm sure. But that's cool that exists. That's so cool, Jeff.
Yeah, that he's you're 100% right. Jenna disables the gun that Conrad gets shot with, and Gavin Hossel has to send a document to Conrad, then they use the matriarch's writing, so it all ties into one. All of those things just tie into one. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun little thing when they all come together in the third one. Right after, I think it happens right after the coup attack by Cerberus.
You know, the more I learn about these games, the more I'm floored that there's this level of detail in games that released in 2-year spans from each other. I mean, it like in today's cadence of releasing RPGs, you would have a game every 5-6 years. It would take a decade and a half, and then you'd have to somehow still remember things from 15 years ago to be like, oh yeah, that was from that first playthrough I did 15 years ago, and it finally came to fruition. Like, that's nuts. You think we'll ever get something like this again?
I think so. I think we're probably going to see a lot of, at least our fellow fans in BioWare, the Dragon Age fandom. I feel like they're probably going to see a lot of that with Veilguard when it comes out in October.
I hope so. Because these are the kinds of things that keep us talking about these things. And they're the kinds of things that make doing continued playthroughs interesting, because you learn about them and you go, oh, I didn't realize that was a thing. Okay, I need to make sure I set that up on my next playthrough so I can go through and do that. Or even if you like do everything, it doesn't mean you did things in the right order. You know, little details like that sometimes matter. I think that's so cool. All right, Draco, these were some really cool topics. Thank you for bringing these. Everybody brought some cool stuff this week. I know I learned a lot. And Sam, I'm glad you were able to make it for like half of the show. I'm sorry you got stuck in traffic and all that.
Oh, yeah, man. I've moved, and so my average commute now on the way home is like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
And
Just
today...
for here.
Oh, right.
Australia's pretty big.
Today, I had to work a little bit later. I was actually at PAX West earlier, and I was working that for my day job. But yeah, it's been a blast. Also, I have a piece of background lore that I don't think anyone brought up, but I don't know because I was only here for half of it.
All right.
Did you guys know that the Elusive Man specifically has his bourbon imported from Kentucky? That's actual canon lore, that the Elusive Man specifically requests his bourbon from Kentucky and his tobacco is earth grown.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, I feel like that totally fits his character. Do we know the name of the bourbon?
Probably. I just remember I listened to it during the Mass Effect Ascension audiobook, I think.
Okay.
So I don't remember reading it, but I probably heard it. I'm just going to Google Elusive Man bourbon.
I'm doing it right now. Bourbon.
It's Jim Beam.
It's Jim Beam. Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Well, that makes sense why I forgot about it, because it's not a very good bourbon. Yeah, anyway, this show is sponsored by Maker's Mark.
Yeah, there go our Jim Beam endorsements ever. Thanks, Sam. All right. That's a fun way to end the show. That is so cool. Next time you see, anytime anyone goes to a bar and sees it sitting on the counter, or maybe you enjoy that type. Maybe we just insulted your favorite drink. Sorry about that also. You're going to think of the Elusive Man. Hey, let's go back through, everybody. Feel free to shout out something you want to put out into the world, or you think somebody should check out, or just thanks for being here. And I'm going to go through on the screen how everybody's set up. We've got Retrobot. I'm adding syllables. Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, I'm not really doing anything. I'm on the Discord if anyone needs anything, but yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm so glad you joined us, and thanks for being a part of this. All right, Scott, you're up next. Anything you want to share?
Nope, just hanging in here.
Nope.
Living the dream.
Nope. Well, cool, man. Thanks for being here. And Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, long-time listener, first-time caller. Just thanks for having me, and I've always enjoyed the podcast and look forward to doing more of these patron shows. So,
absolutely, I'm so glad you decided to sign up.
Yeah,
and then Draco, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I've been listening for a fair while. It's actually really good to listen to while at the gym. It's a good podcast for that. Well, I'm on the Discord, and I'm actually trying to get a podcast going eventually myself, to a sort of live play of Star Trek Adventures eventually.
All right.
So yeah, but other than that, I'm not doing too much.
Cool. Well, keep us up to date with that, and good luck with it. Yeah. Sam and I know how that goes. So yeah, good luck, and I hope that all works out for you. All right, Turbo, thanks for joining us again.
Yeesh. I have nothing going on, no.
That's totally fine. Well, thanks for being here. And then Magister, thanks for joining us as well.
Thank you for having me. Sorry for getting on late. I actually recently moved to a new location myself, so had a bit of discombobulated brain. I was like, oh my gosh, it's after the time.
It's time.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm on the Discord, so feel free to hit me up if you ever want to chat. Besides that, I'm chilling.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope the move went well and everything worked out, and thanks for joining us. Sam, it's that time. We got to wrap it up. Anything else you want to share? Anything else going on?
And that it is, I guess this is more for our live show listeners, because by the time this episode goes up, it will be after PAX West. But for anyone who sees it, and including our patrons, because they can listen to it before then, right? Before Monday.
Yeah, it goes up a Sunday for patrons. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So if anyone's hearing this and PAX West is still going on, hit me up on Discord. I will be at PAX West. I've got a 4-day pass. Intend to check out as much of it as I can. But I'm also going to be continuing streaming my modded Mass Effect 3 playthrough. That one's my headcanon playthrough. I'm in the thick of things right now, and I keep running into cooler and cooler mods. So I keep adding to the mod list, and I've finally exported that mod list. I have it in my own Discord. Tons of people have been asking me what mods I play with. Anyway, that's there for people. I'm also going through my playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima. That game is amazing. And so if you want to catch any of those streams, follow me on Twitch or Twitter at In7TheLegend.
Do you think there's a mod where you can replace Krogan with football players?
I will commission said mod. If not, I will hit up. Maybe we should hit up Audimus and be like, hey, we know that you definitely take requests, right?
Right.
And he'll be like, yeah.
Weird
yeah,
request.
What have you got in mind?
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think that exists or ever will exist. But if it does, let us know, because that's amazing. Speaking of mods, I've been streaming games a little bit more often in the afternoons. I mentioned this before, and I've been playing this week. I've been playing Fallout 4 because the crowd control extension / mod allows people to use coins on your stream that they can get from watching or for donating or whatever in order to spawn things into your game. So I tried this out today. I got it to work. People were spawning like death claws on me and stuff. It was insane. The mod doesn't support Mass Effect yet. So, but they have a place where you can request. So I feel like I need to put in a request, like support Mass Effect Legendary Edition and allow chat to totally mess with my game while I'm running around doing stuff. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine you're on the Citadel and someone spawns in a brute?
Right. Yes. Or so the mod does lots of things. They can put things in your inventory. They can fast travel you anywhere else. Like you could be on the Citadel and about to finish a quest, and then all of a sudden you're on some planet. That would be amazing. There's a lot of cool things it can do, but right now it works for Fallout 4, it works for Skyrim, it works for a large section of games, including console games. I don't know how that works, but it works for console games as well. It's not just PC stuff. So look up crowd control if you want to do fun things with your streams. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. So you guys know where that is, twitch.tv/robotsradio. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you are looking for any other podcasts that I do or other people on the network, robotsradio.net is the place for that. And Sam and I will be back next week. I hope you have a wonderful time at PAX. Anybody else going to PAX? Hope you have a great time. And patrons, thank you again for joining us. That's going to do it for this week. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning into the Mass Effect Lorecast. We'd love to hear your opinion and thoughts on the lore of Mass Effect. Reach out to us on Twitter at Mass Effect Cast, or check out the Robots Radio Discord. Also, you can send us an email at masseffectlorecast@gmail.com.